So I've mounted the Trac Vac attachment on the back of the Ariens GT17 mower because that's what it was on when I bought it originally, and that's what we're going to use to move it around. So it's just easier instead of having it laying on the ground. This thing's actually pretty heavy, so I figured might as well just stick it on the tractor and drive it over here this way. So now I got to do the linkage. So I figured I'd show some detail on how the linkage hooks up on these 5 horsepower Briggs, older Briggs motors like this, because it can be a little confusing sometimes. So that being said, I'll show you the back of the tank here. So you got a mechanism on the back here, and you've got this thicker rod right here is your throttle linkage, and that goes in this hole right here, okay? And then you've got a spring, okay, and the spring has this elongated side. This goes on the governor arm, and then the other side of the spring goes in this hole here. All right, so if we look on the governor arm, so here's what I was talking about here. Here's that spring that's going to go in this hole on this part right here, okay, and then the long elongated end of the spring actually has to go on this little T-shaped thing right here sticking out from the governor arm, and then the linkage from the governor arm up to the carburetor goes in this hole right here, and that's the thinner of the two rods. This linkage, throttle linkage, the thick one that comes up, it actually clips in to this plastic piece right here, okay? And then, because my particular setup has the metal plate right here with the two levers, there are different variations on these. Some of them have a lever here for the choke, but then the throttle is through a cable that would actually, the outer jacket of the cable would clamp right here. That's what this boss right here is on the carburetor. This is for the screw that would hold the clamp to keep the cable fixed, the outer jacket of the cable fixed, so that as you moved it back and forth, it would adjust the throttle. And then this is the choke, and there's another small linkage that goes from this hole over here over to a hole on that assembly that I'm talking about that has the levers. Because mine has the levers for the lever for the throttle on the plate that mounts here, instead of a cable or a linkage going from here over, it actually has this funky little metal thing. And that's so that the pin on the throttle lever, actually, when you lower it down and screw it into place, you make sure that alright, so this is that skinny linkage that goes from the governor arm here up to, it actually goes, see the throttle butterflies right here? You got a linkage that comes over to this plastic piece right here, and there's a hole right there, right there. So you don't want to make the mistake of putting it in this hole, because you'll never get it to line up right and it won't work, obviously. So the ends of these have a dog leg on them. In other words, a 90-degree turn followed by a 90-degree turn, and that's what keeps them in. So you have to put them in and then rotate, and now it's kind of locked in there. The problem is, if you put this end in first, for instance, now the problem is I've got to rotate the whole tank kind of down and everything, and you might be able to do that depending on the application, but on this thing, on this leaf vent, I've got the frame here that holds the barrel part is in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on here first, okay? Then I'm going to swing this down so that I can rotate this like so, and then swing it down, and voila, now I've got the linkage on, okay? So now I have the linkage on, I can leave this out far enough so that I can reach in here and I can grab a hold of the spring that I have to deal with, okay? And then I can get this spring hooked on to where it's supposed to be. Alright, so now that's it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this area right here, this mating surface for the gasket, just a little bit. And then this tube right here is for the breather. That has to stick into here. So I just want to kind of make sure that when I'm putting this on, that I make sure that that goes into there, and then I can bolt it all up. All right, now I'm ready to reinstall this this lever assembly. All right, now on the back side, there's a spring-loaded clip right here, and that's where the grounding wire goes. It runs down to the ignition coil. When this is grounded, it kills the spark. So the way this is made, when this lever, the throttle lever, when it's moved over to the off position, this metal part right here actually comes over and touches that other metal part and grounds this out. Kills the ignition. So this basically has this pin right here on the throttle lever, and that pin has to ride in this little loop right here. So when you're putting this on, this goes underneath like this, and you're going to make sure that that lever goes in there. So like mid-throttle is a good position to get it, to make it easy on yourself to get that in there. But I don't want to just stick this in and screw this in, because the other thing I have to do is I have to hook up the linkage for the throttle, the choke butterfly. And the linkage for the choke butterfly, it's got those dog legs in it, just like the other one. So the problem is, if I bolt this down, you see the problem, I'm not going to be able to get these dog legs to go in. So the easiest way to handle that is to actually get one of these in first on the plastic side there. That's closed. This is going to go like this. So that's the 90-degree dog leg there. So now what I can do, I can tilt this up, bring this down. Now that's in. Now make sure my pin for my throttle is in position. I'll just put one screw in for the moment and verify the operation of my levers. So that's choke on, which is good. That's run, that's good. This is my throttle one down here, and that is also working correctly. Okay, great. Alright, I'm going to put the recoil starter assembly on, and we'll throw a little gas down the carburetor and make sure we still have spark. Now I've got to fix this recoil assembly. It's got a bad rope on it. Well, I was getting ready to put new cord on this recoil, and then I was going to lube up this area behind the spring, and I was looking at the spring again, and I noticed that the metal was kinked, and then I noticed it was really corroded right here, and it didn't take much at all to have this just snap right off. So this recoil spring is junk, so now this needs a recoil spring and a new rope. So I'm just going to forget all about it and just go with I'm going to robbed the one off of my donor motor. Oh, what a bummer. It's a different starting mechanism altogether. Oh, got a different coupler on it, so much for that idea. Well, this spring, like a lot of the parts for these old Briggs motors, isn't available any longer. It's now sold as an assembly with this pulley right here. So it's basically the pulley and these little parts I think might come with it. I don't know if you reuse these or not. Doesn't matter. It's about 18 bucks. but it's going to take a few days for it to come in, and I was hoping to finish this today. So I've got this old recoil assembly off of, I don't even remember what this is off of, and I remember I was going to use it, and then I ended up going another way, or junking that motor, whatever. But I'm wondering if this has the same type of spring inside. I mean, it's a long shot, but this doesn't cost me anything. Might as well see if I can use it. Alright, so I took the spring out of that other recoil assembly, and it's a good spring. Problem is, the other recoil assembly, it looks like the rotation's the other direction, because if I put this spring in so that it's wound in the right direction, these bends on the end are in the wrong direction. So in other words, that loop should be facing the other way so that it can hook on here, but it actually looks like it's going to stay. Well, it wasn't easy, but I got that spring from that other recoil assembly inside here, and actually seems to work okay. I don't know how durable it's going to be, but at least I can get the thing, you know, running. And then if the recoil lets go, well, then I'll just know to order that $18 part. Yeah, I think that's going to be okay for my testing purposes. Just throw a little gas in here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's a good sign. Just repeat that a couple times, maybe. Boy, what a difference a day makes. It's cold and raw today. We just had quite a bit of rain move through last night. So I guess at least it didn't get cold enough to snow. Which wouldn't be surprising at all, because we're not quite into April yet. Easter Sunday is in 3 days. But I was able to pick up fresh, clean gas. So I'm going to fill the tank up and see if we can't get this thing started. Almost. Beginning to think I shouldn't have trusted that carburetor, just because the tank looks so clean inside. Probably not drawing fuel up from the tank.